Welcome to Church Ops Unmuted, Episode 2.
Let's go, baby.
Boom.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, CJ?
Dude, chilling, bro. Chilling, man. Just excited to be back here with the boys.
Back with the boys and debriefing. Our kind of goal, especially with this podcast, is talking about our weekends and how they went with church production, where we were at, what position we did, if there were any issues. And I think I want to just kind of highlight the value of debriefing. I think that's very important, just to talk about what happened and things you can learn. Celebrate wins if there were any. Usually there are, and, be thankful and then move on to the next project. So let's start with CJ, man. How was your weekend? What'd you do? And how was it?
Yeah, man. So this weekend I was mixing on a PM5. Crazy thing is that so the church has a Saturday service. And so before or after, I'm not sure when, but at some point after the service, probably I think it was, the church had a power outage. And so that affected the entire building, our network, absolutely everything, right? And so I was mixing our additional seating and show up, dude, and nothing's talking to each other. Our AVOMs, they're running off of Dante. And dude, just haywire. And so get there, hey, what's going on? Johnny was mixing in the main auditorium this weekend and hit my boy up. He said, dude, we had a power outage. I'm like,
wait. So the power outage was it throughout the whole building or was it just one venue?
No, the entire building lost power, if I'm not mistaken, right, Johnny?
Dang.
Yeah, and so dude, we lost power. Nothing was working. Good thing we got it up and running, but dude, it started off crazy. Can't stress the communications and the building relationships, but because just communicating to the worship team, to the pastor that was hosting our additional seating, hey man, we lost power, lights aren't working, we're getting the audio, we're probably gonna run a little bit behind sound check, but man, we got it up and running, communicated that to them, and we still ended before our end time, which was really good. But I just do building relationships, I think, is what really went long ways in this particular scenario, because it wasn't just our building or the venue I was in, but it was different venues in the building. And so, man, we got up and running, had a great service, dude, packed out our additional seating. I think it seats 1,100 people. Packed it out, man. God moved. God did his thing, dude. Altar was full after the message, dude, which is always such a rewarding thing for me. We show up so early in the mornings. We're running 4 services. And to see the altar just be filled with people who need Jesus, man, encountering Jesus, lots of lives being changed, dude. It's so rewarding for sure, dude. But had a fantastic Sunday. That's pretty much it for my Sunday.
I have a question though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, remember that question, but I just wanted to highlight, dude, that's so important just to remember why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm also inspired by by seeing people show up on the altar for prayer, for salvation. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things that I love seeing is the amount of people that get baptized. We do baptisms once a month, and just the number and the people that are enthusiastic and excited to be baptized. It's just such a great thing to see, to witness, and to celebrate alongside them. And it's just a monthly reminder, during those baptism weekends, where it's just man, this is amazing. People are, they love being here. They love hearing the word, and they're obedient to God's commandment of being baptized, and they love doing it. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. My question was on I know we at one point we talked about Dante. With power outages, did that affect any network Dante type of thing?
Yeah, it definitely did. I think from my understanding, after debriefing, with some of the guys that are systems engineers, because I mean we have an engineer that just takes care of all the systems, right? Talking to him, the power outage lasted longer than what our UPSs, our battery backups, can hold. So,
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's set up to where if we lose power, the switches, the network, all that still stays up and running. Like it shouldn't affect that. But for however long the outage was, the backup batteries ran out. So yeah, our switches go turn off. I believe it's set to where once they turn off, like it's supposed to just manually go back. But there's just some devices that either need to be updated. You know, there's lots of causes why just devices, when they get online with the wrong settings. And so that affects it. We have certain venues that are running still 48K.
Yeah.
We got some venues that are at 96. Like, it's just different. So that affects it. And so that was just one of the situations where one of the devices, which happened to be the Aviom brain that's getting all of our Dante patching, it just got online with the wrong settings. And so it was like, it sounded insane, like robotic, and then it would just go out, and it was absolutely crazy. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, power outages, if you don't got the right systems in place, it definitely will mess up your network for sure.
Dang. Who took? Do you recall? Like, because, and the reason I'm asking is because I've been through that too. At one of the campuses I was at one point, we had power outages, right? And then, like, the clock leader, it started just shifting. It went from, being the front of house board to the, stage rack to the, Shure transmitter. It was just going crazy. So did that happen to you guys too? Or was it just, more of a just reset everything and everything got back?
Yeah, Johnny's situation was probably a lot more like grander, because in our main room we got, I mean, almost 40 amps. I want to say it's just the whole, and they're all network based, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, Johnny, like your issues in your venue, was it like Dante? 'Cause for me, it was specifically a Dante problems that I was having. But I don't know specifically with Johnny. Johnny just gave me when I got on comm, because we can talk to each other through comms in the different venues. I'm like, hey, dude, like something happened overnight. Yeah, we lost power. I'm like, okay, cool. Like left it at that. Got off comms, tried to troubleshoot what was happening. Knowing that we lost power, I know every time we lose power in this specific venue, it's a Dante issue.
That's tough.
Yeah. So it wasn't a clock leader issue. It was just that there was this AES thing that turns off when it turns on, and so just had to turn it off. It was very quick to fix it, just because we've had those issues before. So I knew exactly where to go. But specifically with that, I don't necessarily know. And maybe John, you can unpack how your Sunday went, and we can kind of figure out, what kind of issues you had from that end.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of what you said and you experienced this weekend, because we were at the same church. So we went through a power outage before Sunday service, and we were thinking that it probably happened Saturday night, and it was we thought it lasted probably 2 hours. And so we have a lot of our devices that are on battery backups, and the reason why they didn't work is because they lasted longer than, I think they're supposed to be like 30-minute battery backups or something, maybe even less. And so the power outage lasted 2 hours. Everything went offline. We came to church. Most of us on the production team, we get there at 6:30, and the first thing we noticed is like computers are all turned off. The monitor desk was on, but it had a bunch of error messages, and we were like,
Dang.
okay, something happened. And as soon as we know like something happened, we got on Slack, which is our communication for the production team. We let everyone know there's a power outage, check all the devices. And so I was kind of doing my duties on Sunday, which is like set up kids' church, make sure they're running, and then go back to our main venue. And I went over to one of the kids' churches, kids' classrooms. It's a smaller venue, and I was kind of walking up to it, and I saw a little bit of haze outside, like in the lobby area, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I walked into the kids venue, and it was just completely covered in haze, and it was just like, oh my goodness. And I didn't even know we had a haze machine over there, and so I went
didn't
over.
know that either, man.
I called our lighting guy, and I was like, hey, there's a bunch of haze in the room, and he's like, oh yeah, there's a haze machine on stage. Please turn it off. And so I had to go up there and manually unplug the IAC on it, and then after that, it was just all chaos. So I went back into the main venue and turned all the computers on. You know, I have 2 computers at front of house, one to run Spotify, Smart, other things, and then the other computer which runs Waves R1 for Soundscape, and those computers were off. I turned them on. R1, it lets me know if I'm connected to all the PA, all the boxes, and it was showing everything was good. And so I was like, okay, awesome. Like my network turned off, but it turned on and everything connected smoothly, which is what I thought. But as soon as I started playing music, I noticed that the main PA was not playing anything. It was just fills, I think subs and my outfills. And so I was like, okay, something's wrong. And so I called my audio lead, Eric, and I was like, hey, my main PA is not working. It's not outputting audio. And he's like, okay, check the amps. And so we have an amp room, our main room, which is, we call it tech core because we've got a bunch of devices in there, including amps. And I check those were all good. And then we have 2 other sets of amps upstairs, like in the catwalk area, where we used to have a projector room where they would project backwards, like behind the wall, and it would display. And so that got replaced with LED. And behind that, we've got amps for both sides of this on both sides of the stage for the PA, and both sides were not connected. They were on, but there was like error messages on them, and these are like pretty advanced amps too. So they let you know on this device that it shows you if they're on the network or if they're connected or if they're losing power, which is really convenient. And so we had to turn them all off and turn them back all on again. And then I think that was the end of my issues on at front of house. And it was just like, probably took around 10 minutes, but it was like, the longest 10 minutes. Cause I was like, what if this doesn't work? What's my next step? That's like, all that has to like run through your mind. Cause you're like, we've got less than an hour at this time. We've got sound check. The band hasn't even like come in yet. It's around 7:10. So I went up to front of house, and then our monitor engineer, he was like, nothing's working, dude. Like, we have Clang, which is a monitoring system for musicians, and that wasn't talking to their in-ears. And so I think that was just a device. We had a power cycle the monitor area, which reset Clang, reset the monitor console. And so after we power cycled those, then everything was running smoothly. And my main priority during this weekend was front of house. And so that's kind of what, like, I shut everything off and just made sure the room is good, and I didn't have time. I didn't even check like the other Dante devices. I had others help me out with that. And we also have to turn on the computer that we use for broadcast audio. And we have our boys at Hillside, they remote in and mix for us. And so I turned that computer on and I ran out and I was like, hey guys, can you help me make sure you have audio? And I think they were set for the most part. And so that whole event, from 6:30 to I think 7:30, we were just running around and try to troubleshoot. I asked for help constantly, like, hey, can you run up to the catwalk, turn off my amps for me and turn them back on? Hey, Darius, can you check the monitor console? Hey, online guys, can you help me with audio for broadcast? And it was just all teamwork, and it was really cool seeing some of the guys like immediately jump on all the troubleshooting. And we had other guys, turn on computers and devices. And I mean, it could have been so much worse, but we ended up getting everything ready at around 7:30, which is when doors open, and for the auditorium, and that's when we were done. It was like we got done, and like the doors got open. People were running in, with like they usually do, and so I was like, bro, that was crazy. So it was a fun experience. I'm still not used to our whole system just because how vast it is. For example, we've got like 50 or so Dante devices on our network. And so it's just like so much to think about when something like this happens. And in our production world, like we've got like Macs on Macs on Macs. Like we have a Mac for playing audio music in the park outside. We've got a Mac for playing lobby music. We've got Macs for Pro Presenter. We've got 3 Pro Presenter devices for our main room only. And it's just not to even mention like the other rooms too, which have Pro Presenter, which have Yamaha Dante devices. So I'm just so glad it worked out.
Dude.
Hey, Johnny, go ahead.
Crazy. Go ahead, CJ.
No,
That's
I was going to
crazy.
say, man, like, okay, you finish sound check, doors open, you said everybody runs in, which to me, dude, it blows my mind, dude. When people, first time I mix from the house and I see them open the doors, it's like a concert. People are running, saving seats, putting their jacket. It's insane, right? And I digress. But you finish sound check, you probably go to your office to just like breathe, right? You come back, start the service. Like, what are you thinking? Are you, like, is that past you already? The morning you had the man, this wasn't working. The amps were offline. Clang wasn't this. CJ just now rang me and said nothing's working in his venue. Like, is that all like downbeat? We're about to downbeat this first song, key of G. You got your waves going. What are you thinking after having a morning like that?
Dude,
I like that.
Just like so thankful. And like every service, I'm always nervous, so there's like a level of nervousness and a little, a bit of anxiety. When things like that happen, obviously that's through the roof. And so I always say like, oh, once that's over, back to normal levels of anxiety, like, all right, now I have to worry about cues and transitions and switching the key. But I was just so excited because I noticed like our team jumped and they were active, and we were like, we pretty frequently have power outages, and so we kind of all know what to do. We check their devices, we make sure to jump on the network to make sure everything's talking to each other, and so that part always gets me amped. Like I'm excited because we're a team, and the new experiences are what's scary. Like having to power cycle the amps that are upstage or on the catwalk behind the stage. That was kind of a new experience, and I didn't know to check those. And my audio lead wasn't even on campus; he was at our other campus, and so just kind of like after the fact of after the events, I kind of like, okay, I checked to like what happened, try to process almost immediately for me, like just to calm my nerves down and like, all right, what happened? What did I learn? I learned about a lot more about our system, which is pretty new still. I learned about our PAs, learned to check certain devices, and then just kind of rely on people. And so, after those events, my anxiety level kind of calms down. And I'm glad it happened on Sunday because, we have services on Saturday. And so we were pretty much prepared for the actual service. So I wasn't nervous about like, oh, we missed sound check, because we did. So, but I'm like, we had a solid set yesterday. It went great. No issues. Our pastor was really happy with how it sounded. And so that kind of helped a lot with Sunday service right after the outage. Just like, okay, we didn't practice, but we had experience yesterday. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about and processing right after the outage.
I think this is something we could all, mentioned, and a couple things that come to my mind. And you guys already mentioned, and I'll just say it, just for those listening and watching this: teamwork, communication. Throw me another one. What else can we add in there? Being prepared. What else, Johnny?
Yeah, just having systems.
Systems.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can't really prepare for things like that to happen. Like, but as they happen, you make sure you learn about it, and then create those systems. And
so can we say that on top of everything, there's a level of grace that has to be, to everybody? We give grace to everyone as much as they give grace to us. I do want to emphasize this though. During the week, as production employees that we work at a church, we're not, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're not hoping that this happens, right? We're not saying, okay, guys, well, let's emulate a power outage. Let's turn off all the power and see what happens. And then let's turn it back on 5 minutes before, a rehearsal or something. When stuff like this happens, it's out of our control, and the best thing we could do is just, all right, let's try to fix it. Let's try to get it going. Let's get going. And I think that's the value of production members is, no, we're not going to be practicing, hey, what if these bad things happen throughout the service, but how do we respond when those things do happen? So prepping yourself with knowledge, right? Like you just said right now, and that's great. What did you learn? That itself for me is a huge lesson that from now on that I'm going to take on. When bad things happen, all right, let me write it down. What did I learn from this? Like you said, there's a new system. Now I know how to do this. Now I know where these things are located. And sometimes I know it sucks to say, but sometimes things like these have to happen for us to actually say, oops, there's a little gap that I still need to kind of cross because I need to learn a little bit more. Bro, that's happened to me so many times. When I was at this campus, there was always one little thing. And in my head, I'm like, dude, and it's not just this previous campus that I was at, but like in multiple other places that I've been at, it's like all week, the whole system was working great. Like it was perfect. And then an hour or an hour 30 before service, it crashes down. Something's not working. Proper center, the LED walls are not working, properly. So many things that you're just like, you're scratching your head, but I mean, I think overall, the type of teamwork y'all reflect and y'all show in the communication, the trust that you guys have in each other, I think that's definitely something to value and something to look up to, man, because that's great. And I admire you guys for that one.
Yeah, and if the listener doesn't have that at their own church, if they don't have, a solid team or even not very good chemistry or the chemistry hasn't been built yet, make that a priority. And you can practice communication, being clear, especially the production director. If you have any tasks for your, the people below you, communicate the needs, and that way, that is a preparation for those catastrophes that happen during service while you're alive.
Because they will happen.
And they will happen, yeah.
At some point.
And that's a great point. You can only be prepared for so much because there's just things that are just out of your control. And, just making sure you learn, man, from those mistakes because they're going to happen. And I think you said identifying the holes in your preparedness or in your system. As soon as something happens or something is overlooked, you're like, that's what we're needing or we're lacking in, and just kind of target that and make sure we're dialed. And I think, I don't know if there's football fans out there, but I'm watching a lot of NFL right now, and I'm assuming teams are very they prepare so well and so much, not just on the field, but they watch reels and highlights. They watch tape is what they call it, and they're analyzing the other team's defenses and offenses, learning their moves. And that's kind of what I want to do when I'm on a production team is like go back and watch, and if you don't have it recorded, just kind of remember like what happened and analyze and talk with each other and make a plan for that.
I think that's the beauty of having those like recap meetings, right? Those like let's sit down and as a production team and try to debrief.
Yeah.
Bro, that's fire. So all that happened on one Sunday for y'all that are out there, okay?
Yeah. It was exhausting, man.
Joe, you, man, how'd it go? Were you DJing this weekend or not?
DJ Joe on the turntables, baby. Nah, man. Yeah, I was I got contracted for a local church in the area to, you know, go and mix their sound before the house. And I was greeted with hey man, there's this guy from Florida that flew in just like last night, and we spent hours and hours retuning the room and realigning it, and the subs just sound like much punchier now. And I mean I got excited because this dude was like telling me, you know, this dude, he mixes for the like Inter Miami teams out there, and like he's a big boy, and I guess he's somebody from the company DOS, and which is the system they have there now at that venue. And yeah, man, I mean, I was like, cool, awesome. And it did, honestly, from the previous times I had been there, there was a lot of things I was scaling back, you know. There was a lot of like EQs and extra compressors they had that I could just bypass, and it was sounding fuller. It sounded louder without being louder. You know what I mean? I was barely hitting 93, 94. And I mean, I was feeling it. So I was like, whatever they did to this. And it's funny because we did talk about this at some point, right, guys? About, you know, processors, you know, putting a processor and doing all your hard work on the processor instead of doing it on the board or on your, you know, main stereo left and right. So yeah, man, it was great. I think, I mean, I don't know if we're talking about challenges or wins, but for me, a win was just that I didn't have to do a lot. I actually had to do less, and I think that always, you know, it tells you that whoever did it did a great job on that system. And you know, one of my challenges, I guess we could say, is what do we do when a singer gets on stage and they're just very off pitch or off time? What can we do as sound guys? Because it happened to me this Saturday. It rarely happens, honestly. I mean, it's been a while since I had to, you know, deal with somebody that is just really, really getting like off pitch, like bad. So I was struggling at first, which was weird because during rehearsal, this individual, they did great. You know, I mean, or maybe I was just not paying so much attention. I was probably focusing my ears on something else, but I was like, okay, sounds good. But when the service started and they hit that song, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? And I started checking because the way they have it set up is that they do have waves, right? They have a server for that, but they don't run nothing on waves except auto-tune. That's it. You know, and they've asked, hey, please, we don't want to touch waves. It's just, you know, auto-tune, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll respect that. So I look at auto-tune and I'm like, I thought I was like, probably I have her on a different key or something. Like and it wasn't that. So I'm like, it's in chromatic. It's not that heavy. I mean, I have it pretty much 50%, so it shouldn't really affect her that much. And it was just a little tough, but you know, at the end of the day, I guess that's where our creativity needs to come out, you know, and I try to help that individual with every, like all the other singers, the background, the BGVs, bring them up, try to sound unison, you know, try to make it more like, okay, this is a whole on, everyone's singing now, not just one individual type of thing. And, you know, at first I thought, hey man, like I just kept it to myself, you know, and I didn't want to put nobody on blast or anything. So I was just like, okay, it happens. But you know, that was so they have services Saturday and Sunday, And on Sunday, after like the third service, one of the pastors came up to me, and he's actually a musician as well. And he was telling me, he was like, "Hey man, I want to talk to you about last night. This individual did it. I was told that it sounded very like off pitch, and he was just wondering, like, was it us back here, like with auto tune? Did you miss a cue or something?" I was like, "No, sir. Like, I mean, I had her in chromatic. I had her very low. I don't even really think that, auto tune would have engaged that much." And to my surprise, he just told me, "Hey man, well, okay, that's good. I just wanted to know that. Hey, next time, don't hesitate and text me when stuff like that happens. Like, let's just let me know, like, hey man, like, this person." And I know it might sound like, man, you're the new one here, so it might feel like a little like, oh, who's he to tell me, whatever. But he's like, "I just want to give you that freedom. Like, go for it. Shoot me a text. Just be like, hey, bro, we just finished rehearsal or this first song, and it just sounded like this person was struggling a little bit, might need a little bit of help or coaching on this side." So I felt like, dude, I don't know why, it made me feel better. It made me feel good. Like, man, like there's trust now between this person and I, that I could just let him know, and it's not easy to get that sometimes. For the most part, I mean, contract audio guys, and you guys know this, we're done mixing and we're just like, all right, time to go. Like that. I mean, I can't do anything if somebody can't, if they sing out of pitch or a musician is playing out of time or whatever. Like, hey, that's my job, is not to go up there and be correcting them, right? My job is just try to, as best as I can, mix the sources that are being sent to me, and that's it. So besides that, though, it was great, bro. It was a great Sunday. It's always good to get those text messages later on the day. So just today, early in the morning, one of the musicians that played shot me a text message. He was like, "Dude, your mix sounded fire, sounded great. It's always great to have you around, have you here." If anything, I would recommend, more churches to do that for their sound guys, man, especially worship teams. Reach out. I mean, a text don't hurt. Just let them know, "Hey man, sounded great in my ears," or I heard a lot of feedback on like good feedback from the audience that it sounded dope. So little things like that, bro. But yeah, man, I mean, overall, I think that was it for me. It was not too hard. I mean, this church are pretty locked in. They had a new bass player, and he's a beast. So it was pretty fun, bro. Not a lot of downsides.
That's awesome. And when you were talking about like just building that, sorry, let me think about this question. So when you're talking about like being a contractor for a church, you were saying like, you show up and you mix, you do your thing, and then you leave, and then you don't really, give feedback or anything. Is that something that you do consistently, or is that, do you think that's like the right thing to do, or do you wish you can give feedback?
Yeah, I think I wish I could give feedback, but I'm not a person that I will bring it up if I'm not asked, I think, and that's probably something I should work in a little bit on myself, a little bit on that side, because I'm not a person that will just, go up there and be like, "Hey man, it sounded a little off." I mean, I just let them go back and, hey, re-listen to your live stream, and hopefully they catch on. And some churches do, like this one specifically. It seems like, the worship pastors, the production director, and everybody is pretty involved with that. So they keep their ears, really open. And like I said, I had this conversation with the worship pastor, and, he was just telling me how much he enjoys helping out, young people and coaching them and rising them up from very young, So it seems like they like coaching a lot of people. So even when he told me about this, because he was like, "Yeah, I wasn't here, but I heard and this and that," he was like, "I just want to know so we know how to help this individual," So I was like, "Okay, cool. I mean, that's awesome." But yeah, no, man, to answer your question, for the most part, I think I I usually, if you don't ask me, I'm gonna just kind of, cool. I mean, my job here is done, and kind of, go on my way. But I know it's not easy sometimes as contractors to build that relationship, because then again, I don't know when is the next time I'm gonna be there. Maybe next month, maybe in 2-3 months. So
Yeah, that's an interesting like viewpoint. I'm not really familiar with like contract work, uh, but I do contract work for people I know and people I'm friends with already usually, and so like going to a new church, like that's a kind of a different experience that I've had, and so I'm just kind of like curious, like what the relationship is there with a new client, new church. What about you, CJ? Like, do you think that's been the case for the most part? Like you're just there to push faders essentially, and then you just leave and no feedback or anything like that.
Yeah, that's good. So my experience with specifically church contracting, it's one of two reasons. Either being called because they want like the CJ mix, right? Like, hey, we got this conference, we got this thing going on, or hey, can you come dial in the mix? And so there's so much exchange with, all right, let's tune the drums, let's dial in the bass. It's a little muddy. Let's find the right patch for the piano, mic techniques, things like that. And so it's just a collaborative effort.
hmm
Or they'll call me because their sound guy's going to be out. The guy who mixes from the house is going to be out, and so then I go. And a lot of times in those situations, I'm not really pushing the CJ flavor. What I'm
hmm
doing is, hey, they're really happy with this guy. That's why he's around. And I show up and I just unmute things and push faders. And normally, I mean, for the most part, it's dialed in. So, I mean, I just kind of will adjust levels or tame things if things need to be tamed. Um, so I know I'm probably beating around the question, but I always try to get feedback if I can. And so the way I do it is just, it's a lot different than just like walking up and telling the worship pastor, hey, dude, the bass sounds like crap, or hey, the drums, dude, like, you know what I mean? A lot of times I try to, I'm intentionally giving them the feedback, but I'm trying to make it like an organic way, right? So, hey, man, how's it sound? Right. Hey, dude, it sounds awesome, man. Like it's locked in out there, dude, man. Y'all are doing such a great job.
hmm
Dude, it would probably glue a little bit more if maybe we roll back a little bit on the low end on the bass, or hey, dude, like, dude,
hmm
it sounds really good. From time to time, the piano's just like popping up out of nowhere. Maybe we can dial back the highs a little bit on it, or the piano's getting lost in the pad. And dude, it sounds great, but it would lock in a little bit more if and so I try to find a way to organically share with them. That's kind of the way I would give my feedback. But I always try to make it an organic way. If they ask, I share it. I never want to go and just be
Yeah.
like this, right? Um, but normally when I'm going to go mix, I mean, the bands are normally really solid. They're
hmm
solid. They got their stuff dialed in, and so a lot of times it's a little bit of preference, or it's the way the PA is responding to how they have their, you know what I mean, like their settings and whatnot. But that's kind of the way I handle that.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I mean, y'all know me. I'm a very outgoing person. Like I don't, I talk to anybody and everybody, right? Even as a PM at one point, and you guys started going to the mix where I was at. It was just mostly me more than my whole team. They were, if they needed something, they'll tell me, and then I would go and let you guys know or whatever. So now that I'm like in the other side, I try to take things slow. And what I mean by that is like, when it comes to having that relationship with them, I do feel a little bit more connected now with some people, from the first day that I went to now that I've been there now, I think 4 times that they've called me out there. I feel like, okay, now I could talk to some of the camera ops. I'm talking to the lighting, ops. I'm talking to some of the lyric operators. Just building that, letting them know, like, I want to be, I'm part of your team today, and I want to make sure that we're all doing this successfully, and like every time I get it contracted for the first time, I am pretty quiet, which is odd of me, but after that first one, I kind of read the room, read the vibes, read everything. And then the second time I come around, I start to open up a little bit. But then I personally, I try to avoid any type of criticism at first of whatever they have, or give them any kind of like feedback that might feel a little negative. Just like CJ, I try to praise as much as I can what they have, because I mean, I have been in those shoes too, that I've tried my best to have what we have as a PM, right? And then for somebody to just come and start telling me, yeah, bro, I mean, those drums could have sounded better. And bro, that light was just too bright. Oh, bro, your LED wall is like out of focus. It's like, dude, maybe I already know. I just haven't had the time to get around. So I try to be very lenient on those type of things, and just let everybody know, hey man, I'm here just to help out with you guys, but slowly but surely, I am getting into that little comfort zone where I could start sharing a little bit more, letting them know, hey man, let's try something out. And as you guys know, I mean, I like audio, but it's not my only thing. So my eyes go to everything, from the camera focus to the light that, on the cue that didn't go off. Like, it goes to everything. And that's where I'm just like, oh man, okay.
Yeah. And I think, communication, we always go back to like, that theme, or that word is like making sure you communicate. And I think as an industry, like being part of, the music industry, with being in sound or being on stage or anything, that crowd, or those people that, are from that industry, it's almost like expected of us to be like grumpy and cynical and like, mad all the time and snappy. And I see it all the time, bro. When I go to venues, like,
oh man,
there's some grumpy people out there, man, who work on our industry. And I think we need to be intentional about changing that, and being positive, even when we're critiquing stuff, critiquing people. Like what CJ was saying is like, try to squish your criticism in between compliments, like, you guys are doing a great job. Let's glue it a little bit better by, working on these things, but you guys are sounding so good right now. That's how you do like the hero sandwich, is what my mentor would say. And I think that's an important part of our culture, our subculture in the music industry, in worship music, and in church in general, is like, let's build up, and let's start from a place of encouraging and making sure what we communicate is positive and ends positively. Even if it's something like, having to work on vocal tuning or being on pitch or whatever. Man. And yeah, dude, we gotta change the culture, man. It's up to us,
That's right.
It's tough sometimes, bro. It is tough. But I'm sure that, like you said, it's true. It's up to us. We got to take that first step, and shift it a little bit. I try it a lot whenever, be it, even if I'm at front of house or, as a PM, I've always tried to create a culture of volunteers that they want to be there. They want to enjoy their time there. They're eager for it to hit 8:00 so the door could be open for them to come in and, just feel special at like, man, I'm doing something today, and I mean, as far as I know, the teams that I've worked with, they've, up to this day, they still enjoy doing that, and they still keep that same camaraderie of a teamwork. So it's awesome, bro. But that's true.
And that's on you, bro. Like those people that you've trained, I can still see that they're excited to be there, and it's because of you, bro. Like you're intentional with setting that culture, and that's the type of people like that I want to be around. Like I want to be around people who build healthy culture, especially in our church production world. That's severely lacking And I'm so excited to be your friend, dude, because I get to learn from you.
Oh man,
And,
you made me cry, Johnny. Well, let me
Yeah.
tell you something though, and I mean, it might get a little personal here, but that's good. I mean, this is what this is about, right? When I left this previous organization, and every time a PM or tech director or production director leaves, there is gonna feel like, okay, there's a gap. There's something here. And sometimes, a lot of, or I want to say a lot of times, volunteers tend to just be like, well, I'm not going to go no more. I want to, I quit. Like, if the main guy's not here, I'm not going to be here. But let me tell you something though. I had a conversation with them at one point, and I said, hey guys, you ain't doing it for me. It's not about me. Because if I know that sometimes you want to feel like, well, no, Joe, wherever you go, we go. Well, guess what? I don't know where I'm going right now. So we're just, a blind can't lead the blind right now. And, I try to encourage them, hey, do the best work that you can. I mean, you have all the tools, you have all the resources. I feel like I've trained you enough for you to be successful in this area. Like, it's your time to multiply the gifts that you've been giving. It's your time to bring someone else and say, okay, guys, this is how you do these things. And, and keep building that, keep multiplying that, and I'm saying this because I've also met some people at a personal level that there were PMs or production directors, and they leave and they just, it's like a ghost. They're gone. As soon as they leave the team, they're never known from the team again, and they don't talk to the team again. And they create this type of tension, I guess you could call it, that it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So, what I'm trying to get to is pretty much, if whenever we do transition from one place to another, let's do it with a good heart, and let's make sure that the footprint that you're leaving, it's going to be seen, and it's going to be engraved in those people that are there, and up to this day, I could tell you, man, with all honesty, I still talk to every single one of them. We still kick it. We still go bowling. We still, they still come over to my house. We have these Bible studies, and they love and they enjoy being around here. And I enjoy hearing their stories. Man, today we did this, we did that. Man, today we implemented this new system. Dude, the light, we did this with these lighting. Bro, it's cool now to be able to talk on a like tech level with them, that I'm just like, bro, this is awesome. From day one, when all they talked about was probably just sports or food or traveling, to like, bro, I want to talk tech level stuff. Did you know that this and this and that? And I'm like, bro, that's dope, man. Like, it makes me happy. It makes me feel like, bro, that's so awesome. It's like a child, when you're talking to a child, or at least my kid, when he was 2-3 years old, bro, I was eager for him to grow up because I wanted to start playing with him and talking to him and like, having these cool man-to-man conversations or whatever. Now that my kids are 9-7 years old, bro, they know more stats about all sports more than me. But it is nice to sit down in the couch and, talk to your child and him asking you, Dad, Lionel Messi scored these much goals today. And Jason Tatum did these many 3-pointers and the preseason started and the Mariners just won and we're going to go to the All-Star game and all these stuff. So it's pretty cool now. It's like that level of, I don't even know what to call it, relationship. It shifts a little bit. So that's awesome, bro. But it's always good to be surrounded with people like that. So man, I'm blessed to be surrounded with you guys. Both of you guys.
Bro, don't make us cry, dude.
Vamos a orar. Yeah, man. But it's been great. Well, I'm glad, man. These Sundays, man, this Sunday was great. I think for all three of us. From, like CJ said, from people getting baptized and people walking in, and like you, Johnny, saying, just the fact of being back there and running sound doesn't mean that we don't see the hunger that people have to worship, to enter a place where they could, just not worry about anything and just, surrender their life to God. So that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
awesome.
we are extremely blessed to be at a place where people are legitimately hungry for Jesus, dude. It just I remember my first time mixing in the main venue, and the congregation were just yelling and screaming so loud that I could not get the PA over them. I mean, and we got boxes upon boxes upon boxes of PA in that venue, and but it's just, man, like so rewarding, dude. And think just never forgetting, man, like why we're doing what we're doing. I remember being a kid and praying for this, praying to be where I'm at, and I have to remind myself of that when stressful or when I just waking up at 5 in the morning to make a 6:30 call time. Like I'm just like, oh my God, like what am I doing? And I'm like, I have to remind myself, like, CJ, you prayed for this. You prayed to be where you're at today. Like, and I'm sure you guys too, growing up, and being in church, and you're just like, I just want to work at the church. Like I just want to be full time in the church, right? And we're able to do that at the level we're doing it at too. You know what I mean? At literally one of the biggest churches in the country. But just always trying to remember, like, keep that in the back of like why we're doing, and we prayed for it, right? Like we prayed for this when we were younger and when we were kids, and I constantly have to remind myself of that because a lot of people think you work at the church, it's all like, oh, fun, and it's not, and how bad could it be, and I mean, it's
You
not
just
bad
gain
at all.
some. You just gain
Yeah,
weight. That's
yeah,
bad.
don't get you do, man. Dude, the way they feed us, bro. Oh man,
Let's not talk about food, man.
and then the hermanas, dude, they come and they want to make sure you got your coffee and you're
Oh
taken
man,
care of, and
Shout out to
dude,
the all hermanas, dude.
hermanas
yeah,
out
the
there.
hermanas,
Shout
dude,
out.
they're there to make sure we're squared away. Mijo, do you have your Red Bull in the fridge? Like
Yeah,
making sure we're stocked up and taken
that's
care of,
so
man.
awesome,
Yeah,
bro.
so you definitely gain weight for sure.
Yo, side note, churches out there, feed your production people, okay? Give your production people Red Bulls once in a while.
Bro, and especially when you have like more than 3 services,
Oh,
like, bro, there's got to be food, and thankfully I've worked most churches like have always like fed me, and whenever I go serve there or if I
yeah.
have employed by them, usually they have food, and the awesome ladies in the kitchen like sometimes even like cook for us. And so that shout out to our moms out there who volunteer, and yeah, it's just it's needed,
Yeah, for sure. Breakfast tacos in the morning, you know. But no, like for me, it's really thinking about all the people who give of their time. Right, there's some people who are walking in at 6:30 in the morning for a call time, and there are volunteers already there, and we're walking out at 5 p.m. and those same people are still there. Right, so I'm like, at least they can do is give them a breakfast taco. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, on feeding. Like, what's your window? Like, what is your window? And I know we might be getting like super technical, and me
Johnny
being
here.
fat, like, you know what I mean? Fat boy has to eat, right? But what's your window? If like let's take the services out of the equation, right?
Okay.
Like, because some people go for 2-hour church services, right? Um, what's your window to say if a volunteer or even a staff member is this amount of hours on a Sunday, lunch or breakfast or whatever should be required? What would you say that window is for y'all?
Go ahead, Johnny. It's all yours, baby.
It's like you should
I
feed
don't
them
know.
just for showing up.
Yeah, bro, like top of the morning, like first thing is that I'm doing is shoving a taco down my throat, bro.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate on this one though. But you're getting paid.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah. If you're getting paid, should they feed you?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter. Like, I think it's about how much time you're spending at the church. You know, if it's 2 or more services or something, and you're
Okay.
there for like 5 hours and you're not able to like leave or anything. Like that's a long window to go without food.
That's illegal.
And
Just
yeah,
kidding.
it's technically illegal. I think to work over 4 hours without a break. I think or a 30-minute break.
Yeah.
But at our church, you can't. You're not. You're gonna sit in the parking lot for over 30 minutes just to gather there.
That's true.
You know. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to throw that in there.
No, I'm glad you did because I'm trying to like think of like what should I be saying because I think like a hungry person, bro. Like I'm hungry all the time. I am hungry all the time. I wake up and I'm hungry. I go to church hungry. I eat breakfast. Go like 3 hours later, I'm hungry again. So it's probably like, if my answer were to be like the honest answer, it would be like, bro, feed us after every service.
Okay. But if they don't, and it's been more than 3-4 services, is there ever a conversation about this topic, or do we just lay back? And I'm gonna answer that one for myself, because again, I'm not a conflict guy, right? I'm not gonna be the one out there and telling you and criticizing how you run your service or whatever. You know what I started doing? Shoot, I packed my little peanuts, I packed my little snacks, and I just have in my backpack now. Take my little water. Hey, you don't want to feed me, or there's not even snacks. It's cool. I got my own little things. But do we talk to people about this after a certain amount of time that you've been there? Is it a conversation that's worth bringing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to depend, dude. And I think my inclination is to communicate. And I think whenever I go to a church, it's like what you said, Joe, like you don't notice just sound. It's like everything else in production. I'm the same way too, but like more overall, like what's my experience like when I walk into the lobby of a church on a Sunday? Like, how does that make me feel if I'm a new visitor or a guest? What's the culture around prayer? What's the culture around how loud or quiet they want music to be? And so I think it's just like important for me to like take note of that. And if the culture is like really fast paced, bunch of services in a row, then I'm gonna say something. I'm not gonna say it to anybody. It'll be like the leadership that I'm closest to. Usually I talk to the worship pastor because they're in charge of a lot of things. They're usually like secondhand man to the lead pastor. And so any critique or criticisms or advice, I'll let them know. And so I think that's part of the conversation you can have with, someone at that level. Just being like, hey man, you guys are doing 30 services back to back. You have a bunch of volunteers. They've been here since 5 a.m. It's like almost noon. There should be a time set aside for you to give them food, or I don't know. I think there's a lot of options there as far as getting food to them, whether it being like a bunch of snacks, catering, or having a kitchen ministry that cooks dinners and lunches. And I think, churches that are listening to the leaders in churches that are listening to this, like they should, consider that. But it's going to depend on the church, like if it's a church plant, they probably have like no budget to do that. And, like if you can't feed your team, your volunteer team, if they're there for a long time, then I would seriously consider changing out your volunteers every service so they're not there, 4 hours in a row.
That's a good point. What do you think, CJ?
On what aspect? We touched like 5 different.
CJ's still on CJ's
I
still
did, bro.
on the food. CJ's stuck on the food.
We touched about 5 different things, but no, I think that if you're running 5 services, 4 services, that means that they got a handful of members. That there's a reason why they need to run so many services. So I think that, I mean, if you are running that many services, there has to be a couple dollars to spare some sandwiches
Ooh.
or some frozen hot pockets that someone can throw into the microwave and heat up. If you're running that many services,
Yeah.
For me, if you're gonna serve under me and in my leadership, and I'm gonna have you somewhere for 4 or 5 hours, you're gonna get fed.
Carne asada, baby.
Carne asada, taco. I mean, dude, we go out. You know what I mean? No, but and it's not to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, come serve with me because I feed you. That's not what I'm saying at all. But in the world, in the world we're in, and the way consistency is very important in church, especially if you're operating at 3-4 services. It's extremely important to have the same people serving in those positions. Switching out a sound guy for service 1 and for service 2, and it's not. I mean, it's
Not a
not
good idea.
ideal. It's
Yeah.
a lighting person, a person doing lyrics, your directors, things like that. It's gonna be really tough to have them serving at different services. And so my thing with leadership, just like Johnny says, is always gonna be, hey, look, they're here for so many hours. What can we do? What can we do just to, first of all, like, make them feel like they're being honored, right? Like, let's just a way to honor them, whether that's a basket of snacks and a fridge full of waters or sodas or Monster or whatever, right? But I think that once we start hitting, and I always go by the hour, the hour threshold, because it can get a little. You do 2 services, they're 2 hours long, 4 hours, you're at the door, cool. Like, I don't see that. But if you're gonna be somewhere for 5 hours, right? If you're running a 2.5 hour service, dude, like in the middle of that service, let's take a break. Let's unwind. Let's go. Throw a hot pocket in the microwave, kind of chill out for a little bit, and go knock out the other 2.5 services. Services are that long at some churches I've been to. Like, it sounds like a lot, right? And someone listening to this might be like, dude, 2.5, man, we go for 3. What are you talking about? But I like to go by the hour mark. Like, how long are you going to be here? Am I asking them to show up at 6 in the morning? If I'm asking them to show up at 6 in the morning, now I'm asking them that they need to wake up at 4 in the morning to be able to go get a breakfast, wait in the drive-through line. Forget it. If you're going to wait in the Whataburger line for a breakfast burger, you're going to be there for 30, 45 minutes, even if there's no cars in front of you. For some reason, I understand that, but they're going to wait for a while. And so for me, I don't ever want to put that on them to say, hey, I'm asking to be here at 6 in the morning. And so, like, I'm always going to try to do something. If that's me picking up donuts in the morning, or the night before to take them some donuts from HEB or whatever the situation is. If we're serving more than 4 hours, like, I want to compensate them some way or another when it comes to getting food in their stomach. Me, I can go a full day without eating. Am I happy? No, right? Will I do it?
Hangry.
Yes, yes, I'll do it. Will I be back there smiling and shaking babies' hands and pinching their, yeah, absolutely, right. But at that 6-7 hour mark, I'm starting to get a little miserable. I'm starting like, oh, I'm hungry. You know what I mean? I'm on the app trying to DoorDash something in.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more of the people that are serving under me, right? Like, how can I make them feel like they're valued? Because for a lot of us, we can't do service without these people. We can't run a service without them, and a lot of them, they want to be there, which is the amazing part. They want to be part of what God's doing in that house. And so, I mean, the least thing we can do is honor them. And I've been blessed enough to work for organizations that say, yes, let's do that. Hey, you know what? Maybe we can't do the lupe tortillas or, the steaks. But, we can do a breakfast taco for them, or we can pick up some fajita tacos or a box from Taco Cabana. Like there's options always, right? We don't always have to go all out, but I've been really blessed to work for organizations that are like, yeah, let's do it. So I'll always advocate. I'll always advocate for that. Yeah, for sure. The 4 hour threshold. If I'm asking them to be there at 6 in the morning, I want them to walk into a cup of, like, a pot of coffee brewing or something. You know what I mean? So that way they just feel like, oh man, I'm here in the morning. Hey, look, they're taking care of us. They see the value. They're honoring us.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you think the same like applies for both volunteers and staff?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be fed as a staff member too. Don't hear what I'm not saying
CJ's
here,
like, hold
Johnny.
on, let me be careful what I'm about to say right now.
Johnny, you know very well when we get that text message that the food is here, dude. Dude, you're gonna catch me the first one in line. Always. No, always.
dude.
But yeah. No, always. Yes.
I was the first
absolutely.
in line this past Sunday. Like, I was
Yeah.
the first to like the message that we got food, and that's all I was thinking about. Like, was the food.
Now
We got it
listen,
from
though.
Teriyaki Madness, bro. We got Teriyaki Madness this
Bro,
past
slaps.
Sunday. It's awesome.
Shout out to
I love
to Sophia.
and I love CJ who name dropped all these Texas restaurants. That's awesome. Like
No,
freaking
man.
Whataburger. What was it? Taco Cabana.
Sponsor.
Cabana, dude, just a box of tacos, dude. They've
Lupe
gone up in
tortilla.
price, dude. Lupe tortillas, dude. Like, yeah, dude, absolutely. But no, I believe that too. As a staff member, if they're gonna have us at a church again, also I think for 5 hours, I think, and we can't leave campus. Like they're, at least from my experience, they've always been taking every organization I've worked with. If it's a long day, they're really quick to saying, "Hey, we're going to cater something," or at least a heads up of, "Hey, bring your lunch." It's a long day, but yeah, as staff members for sure, you know what I mean. Now,
Yeah.
if it's a staff and volunteer lunch that they're getting for everybody, I'm not the first one in line. I want to make sure all the volunteers eat first.
Perfect.
But staff, dude, if it's on the staff hub and it's like lunch is here for staff, dude, freaking yeah, dude. Me and Johnny are the first ones in line and the last ones in line.
Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah, we always hang back to see if there's any leftovers.
Hey.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
like after the second or like our last service, which is at 2 p.m. It's like, oh, is there food there still?
Yeah, dude.
But what's a
catch-
bummer at front of house in our main venue is that it's usually like we can't get out of that room or booth because there's so many people leaving the venue, the room, and so it takes us like 5-6 minutes to even get back to our lunch area. But I'm always like try to be there first, man. Like, I gotta be fed, bro.
Well, not only that, but it's because we also got to be in position.
That's
First,
true.
too.
Yeah, we got to get ready.
They're playing bumpers. They're doing all this stuff, and so it's like, dude, like you need to get back there as quickly as you can possibly get back there. Shove that food down your throat. Little restroom break, really quick, and then let's rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? And there's many times where I'll go without eating. You know what I mean? And I'll go without eating just because, dude, you don't want a video to play and then to find out you're back there, dude, with a spoon in your mouth, bro, with food, and it's like,
Yeah.
and that's a long run back there from the house, dude. Like you think those 10 minutes felt like a long time, bro? Imagine your 2-minute run from the green room to the front of the house booth, bro. And then
You
there's
already
cramp,
burned the calories.
dude. And I'm telling you, bro, it's like a concert. So all the hall, all the aisle, dude, you ain't getting back there, bro.
Yeah. No, it's
Like-
tough.
Like you ain't getting back there.
Dude, that's
And
like part of my anxiety, bro. Like
Ay, Dios mío.
there's like an hour in between services. You go back there and you're just chilling, but in the back of your head, like in that little corner, is like, all right, how much time do I have left? As it's getting lower and lower, like 10 minutes is like, oh, maybe I should go now just in case I can't reach the booth in time or something. But that's always something that is part of what we're tasked to do and responsible for. On time is late and being early is on time. I think someone said from a coach, 15 minutes early is on time and on time is late is what they would say.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the mindset, like show up before, make sure you're ready, and execute.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'll wrap up with this last thought. As a PM, and I'm sure at one point you guys have been or will be, because I believe fully that you guys are more than skilled to do it. Hey, when you have a team with you, and like CJ said, when there's volunteers involved, hey, they eat first. It's been it happened many Sundays that I went out without eating, because either I was out there fixing something. When I came back, everybody, they grabbed seconds and it was gone. And I was like, cool. Yeah, as long as y'all ate, I'm okay. Or, sometimes whoever ordered food, we count less than what we had. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, ooh. So there was multiple Sundays where I had the plate in my hand and I just had to just slowly kind of put it back and make it look like, nobody ever touched it. Because I knew there was still, people that were going to come in and, get a plate or so. So it's definitely, it's a very extensive topic for sure. Like, a lot of people think it's just food. No, like y'all said, people are there from 6, 7 a.m. and they'll stay till 3, 4 p.m. That's a full on day. It's a work day.
Yeah.
And to not have at least something in your stomach, eesh, I think the least we could do, like y'all said, is feed them, give them a good plate, something good for them to keep going. But hey, I want to close this episode up with a Bible verse, right? And it says, 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, so whatever you do, you eat or drink, whatever you do it for the glory of God. And I think that's crucial, and it just tells us that no matter what we do, no matter what position we're in production, do it for the glory of God. Because ultimately that's what we're here for, to put his name up high, to establish his kingdom on earth, and to bring people to him, draw people closer to him. So whatever we do, let's do it for the glory of God. So this was Church Ops, unmuted, no gates, no limiters. Johnny, take us out.
I mean, I think you did, didn't you? Like, we out.
Yeah, we're gonna on Sunday morning. I will shove that taco down my throat with excellence.
Excellent. Yeah. Amen.
On to the honor and glory of the Lord Jesus Christ, bro.
Amen.
Come on, bro. Love y'all, man. We will.
Deuces.
Excited to be back next week, baby. Let's go.
Yep.